Hello, warm welcome from the Virtual Metric team to all joiners. Thank you for joining this webinar on maximizing efficiency with Microsoft Azure Stack HCI. My name is Michiel and I will be your moderator for today. We have some great content coming up revealing unique ways to optimize your Azure Stack HCI environment. The main speaker for today is our very own co-founder and CTO Yusuf Öztürk. As a quick side note, you are all on mute, so feel free to drop your question in the chat or in the Q&A during the webinar. At the end, we've reserved plenty of time to address your questions. Now, let's walk through the agenda for today. So first, we'll do a quick virtual metric introduction. Then Yusuf will take you on a tour and highlight 5 challenges you may experience using Azure Stack HCI and demonstrate how we tackle this with virtual metric. We will wrap up with some key takeaways and then open up for Q&A, and we have plenty of time to address your questions. Now, let's start with a quick introduction. Our journey began in 2014, when Yusuf, driven by a passion to create the best tooling for system engineers, set out to revolutionize the IT monitoring and optimization game. As a former system integrator and a Microsoft MVP, he acknowledged that there were missing capabilities to properly monitor a company's infrastructure. Nothing in the market could cover these topics. This is when he founded Virtual Metric. Virtual Metric is a company made by system engineers for system engineers. Although today, during this webinar, we focus on managing Azure Stack HCI, Virtual Metric is an agnostic solution capable of managing any infrastructure. Our mission at Virtual Metric is straightforward. Tech that works and works damn well. We are on a mission to create the best performing and most intuitive monitoring platform for IT professionals out there. So quick fast forward to now, Virtual Metric has been gearing up with a brand new headquarters in Amsterdam and a growing team. We have a growing number of valued customers in different industries that are super excited about our solution. For example, most recently, we added Develop in Germany and SOS Hosting in Canada to our customer base, as you've probably seen on LinkedIn. We will be announcing more names shortly that have chosen Virtual Metric as their preferred monitoring solution. Now, with any further ado, it's my pleasure to hand over to Yusuf. Yusuf,
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thanks. So I will focus into the presentation mode, and please let me know if there's any question, but we will answer the questions at the end. And if I have any technical problem like we had, maybe VMware guys are doing something to my network. So yeah, we can please let me know so I can restart my screen recording. So let's start with the challenges. So today I'm going to focus on 5 unique challenges or like big challenges in the industry, and especially with managing the Azure Stack HCI environments. So let's start with them. And the first one, challenge 1, is lack of visibility. So if you have like a huge environment with lots of virtual machines, lots of infrastructure elements in your system, it might be very difficult to see your elements in a clear organization, maybe, because many solutions today are giving you the monitoring with the item-based monitoring. So everything is complex, like all there, and you don't know how to manage them. So there's no visual representation. So it's very difficult to troubleshoot because it's a mess. So it becomes really inefficient. So for this challenge, we are providing you interactive device tree. So with this one, everything's clear. You have the clarity to see all the elements. You can go on, find the elements, see the alerts, and you can go deep dive, find the root causes. So it's really, really helpful when you're managing really complex environments. So in this session, I will do tell and then show. So I will quickly switch to my environments for demo. So we can cover these topics, these challenges, like how we solve these issues on Virtual Metric. So I have my environment on this device tree. As you see, I have many different elements. Actually, we can add more infrastructure environments into Virtumetric. So let's see that I have one SCVM environment and another one Azure Stack environment with all the nodes that I have, and the cluster shared volumes, and then the virtual machines. And I also see the virtual switches per host, or if I go down to virtual machines, I can see their storages, like each VHDX. In this case, I have a lab environment for Azure Stack HCI. So I can see all the details, and then the network interfaces, and I can identify them with their MAC addresses, so you can easily find them. So this view gives me a total control over my environment. So if I need to find something, I can look up for that machine, and then I can understand which cluster has it, or which maybe data store or cluster shared volumes has it, because we have these information. And if I set up an alarm, I can see this, like how the hierarchy goes down. So I can see all the root causes, or these kind of views with this. So I love device tree, and I think many people, many IT admin also loves to use it. So it's very useful to manage large environments. So demo is open to everybody. Just go on and please check by yourself. So let's switch to the next challenge, which is complex deployments. So you have many environments. So many environments also might be in the private networks, or maybe some external networks that you are not able to reach from your main environment. So it sometimes becomes very difficult to monitor those environments. The problem is maybe your solution today only supports WMI, and WMI cannot go through the private network. You need to basically provide some proxy to reach. And in these kind of cases, it might be very difficult to solve that problem. And of course, another challenge is if you're using an agent-based solution, it might be very difficult to deploy that, because maybe you have to do it in your patch window. Maybe at the weekend, you need to do it in the night. So for us, for IT admins, it might be very difficult to do that. And if your solution does not cover automatic discovery, and if it is a configuration-based monitoring, then if you add a new inventory in your system, a new VM or a new disk, you have to go to configuration and add that. So it's very inefficient to work with. So our solution for this challenge is, of course, agentless auto discovery. So with our solution, you don't need to deploy any agents. You just have a collector or trigger, what we called. So you just add your Azure Stack HCI environment, or Hyper-V cluster, or SCVMM environment, and we automatically discover these environments and collect everything. And if there's a new device or new VM, anything, just we collect those automatically in real time. And so you wouldn't miss any new things in your environment. So let's see how it works. So I go to my demo environment. So if you go to settings, in the settings part, you will see the services, clusters, and managers. If you go to server, you can add individual Hyper-V machines with just adding the IP address, and that's it. If you have the Active Directory authentication, the Virtumetric will use that authentication, and then it will collect the data. And if you have SCVMM, in this case, you can just add your SCVM environment, and we will connect to that environment and get all the data automatically. And in order to connect to SCVM, we are not using PowerShell. We are not using any SCVM related PowerShell commands. We discover the SCVM database, and we connect that and do the queries all from there. So it's very fast. It's very efficient. So as soon as something is there, we collect the data. So for the clusters for Azure Stack HCI, for example, you just add your cluster, and immediately it gets you all the members of that cluster. And that's it. We discover everything, and later on you will see that in the device tree view, like all the volumes, physical disks for your S2D, or in the virtual switches. So it's all auto discovery. Let's go back to the next challenge. Inefficient alerts. So, of course, we sometimes try different monitoring solutions, and solutions are only focusing to the single thing, or they're focusing to the logs. For example, if you want to collect your logs, you need to use, for example, a log monitoring solution, or if you're going to collect some metrics, you use some solutions only for the metrics, maybe some free solutions to get some metrics. And if you want to get the inventory data, usually there are other solutions to get that data. So at the end, you have three different environments, three different products, and all the data you need actually on three different environments. And if you need to do alerts, you go to each environment and you create your rules there. But eventually, you are not able to do the correlation because, all the data is running around. So this becomes really inefficient if you want to do advanced filtered alarms, or if you want to combine multiple things together and create some really advanced queries, which is not possible. So for this challenge, our solution is, of course, advanced alarm correlations, because virtual metric is capable of collecting data like, for example, patches, firmware versions, metrics, Windows event logs, security logs, net flow from your VM switch. And we can get all those inventory logs and these performance metrics all together to the single environments. And from there, you can manage and create the new rules, and you can do the correlations. Because if we go to the demo again, just quickly, if I go one of my Azure Stack HCI nodes, I see the hardware level at everything, like the physical disks, chipsets, or network adapters. I see all the details like MAC addresses, driver versions. But at the same time, if I go to audit section, if I go to the event logs, it's all there. As you know, many critical information actually is in the event logs, and this is all auto discovery. You don't need to type any events, because we already know what kind of events you need to collect, like if there's a blue screen of that, or if there's any disk issues, so we put them here. And in the secured section or inventory, we get the pending updates for this Azure Stack HCI node or cluster, or any processes that you may need to know, like what kind of processor usage is there, who's using that, or services. So eventually you have all the data. You have the critical metrics, the inventory, logs. So you just need to go to the settings, and you need to come to the rules, and you can create advanced rules. For example, you can do inventory-based rules, you can do counter-based, like performance metrics-based rules, or log-based rules, or you can go really deep dive with the SQL content, and you can write your own SQL queries with the help of our widgets, because every widget can export a SQL query, and then you can do really advanced correlation rules, because all the data is in the virtual metric database. So let's go back to next challenge. IT sprawl. So we know that the number of devices are keep growing, and virtualization is very big hype, and everybody is investing into that. So we are creating more virtual machines than the physical machines for a really long time, actually. So, but in this environment, and with many multiple teams in the same company, we see that as IT admins, it's sometimes out of our hands. So many teams are creating many virtual machines, and with those creation of the virtual machines, basically, we are not able to track what's happening. Sometimes there's a new project, they are starting a new VM, but at the end of the project, that team is not deleting the VM, or shutting down, or they don't do any action. And it's not in our hand to track these changes, if the project is ended or not. So at the end, we come up with many zombie VMs or many zombie VHDX files. So this becomes very difficult to manage. So how are we solving this? We are showing you an optimization engine in the product. So with this optimization engine, you can find out all the idle VMs, or soon, it's not here yet, but very soon in this I think weeks, you will have the zombie VHDX tracking. So if somebody deleted the VM, or if somebody removed one of the disks, but if the VHDX is still on the cluster shared volume, it's very difficult to track sometimes. So you can use our engine to track. And you can see the CPU optimizations, memory optimizations, and you can optimize your environment based on these recommendations. So let's see how we do that. If I go to the devices, and in the devices, if I go to my, I think in this case, I have more servers here. If I go to my SCVMM and switch to virtual machines. So in the virtual machine section at the end, you will see this analysis part. If I go to the CPU recommendation, I see all the CPU usages and recommendation and how much you can reclaim. So as you see that we just gave really a lot of CPUs to each machine because we didn't know how much they need. So it recommends us to lower the CPU numbers from 2 to 1. So based on these usages, you can see many reclaiming of these resources. Or if I go to the memory, I see the memory usages and recommendation, and I can increase or lower to capacity to meet with these optimizations. And another one is reclaimable idle VMs. So we are checking a couple of different things to find out idle VMs. So if a machine is there, created, but nobody touched, or there's no service on it, it's not running for a really long time, there's no activity on the disk or network, we can find out here. I think I don't have any in this environment because I'm constantly using for the demo, but in the vCenter environment, I can just show you how it looks. But apparently I also don't have it here. So yeah, the idle VM is just oh, sorry, I'm in the server level. If I go to the reclaimable idle VM, yes, there's one. For 14 days, there was no action basically. And this is true. We created this VM, but we didn't activate it. So it's consuming lots of memory and then disk. So I can basically remove this. So the same thing applies to Azure Stack HCI part. So we can detect these reclaimable idle VMs. So if I go back to my SCVMM again, to last part is reclaimable power off VMs. Maybe after the project ends, the team stopped the VM, but nobody took any action more than 14 days. So you will see them here. So you can shake some trees and say like, yeah, who's responsible of this? What are we going to do? Shall we delete it or not? So it will help you to reclaim some of the provisioned disks. So yeah, it's again optimization. And soon here there will be zombie VHDX part where you will see the you can reclaimable VHDX. So you can find those. So let's go back with the final challenge. I come up with this title, No Yellow Pages for VMs. I thought it might be funny. So you might have like thousands of VMs because I managed one of the biggest Hyper-V cloud back then, and it was very difficult to find these VMs. So we added, we had to add something into the product to help IT admins. So one of the issues in the environments are or is that it's very difficult to find out the network related issues. Sometimes network guys calls us and say like, oh, I see one of the MAC address is actually duplicated. So 2 VMs are using the same MAC address. So please go and change your network settings. And then you're like, yeah, what am I going to do? Am I going to do some PowerShell query, the script to find those? Or yeah, maybe I don't know how to write PowerShell. So how am I going to do this? Or another one is maybe storage related things, that storage is giving too much latency and you don't know which storage is actually connected to that VHDX. So yeah, these things might be very difficult to find. And if it is difficult, it's also very hard to take actions if there's an event of issue. So our solution for this thing is search engine for VM inventory. So we implement the search engine to cover many details of the virtual machine, like MAC addresses, location, the name, many properties actually in the search. So if you go to the demo and let's find out a VM, maybe in this part, let's see SCVMM. So if I go to the network adapter, I see the IP address and the MAC address. MAC address is here. So let's take this IP address and let's say I need to find this machine. I just go to the top, search for that IP, and immediately it finds me that a CVMM machine is here and it's under the physical server called HV02. And the same thing applies to MAC address, for example. If I come up and search for it, it finds the similar thing. But maybe one nice thing, because my Azure Stack HCI is actually a lab environment under a physical machine, let's find it out. I go to one of the machines here, this, for example, and then I go to the network adapter and find this MAC address and search for it. Okay, in this case, the funny thing is I added the same lab as physical machines as well. So when I search for it, it shows me two different items. One item is the real physical server because Virtumetric thinks it's a real server. And the another one is the virtual machine because they're sharing the same MAC addresses. It is also a case that if you search for a duplicated MAC address, you will find them like this very easily. But you can also write a query, of course, or create a report to find them out. So yeah, this was the final challenge from our view. You might always come up with more challenges, of course, and you can always let us know if we have any solution for that. Maybe we have. In just small time, we need to cover few major challenges as we see, but please let us know. So after these challenges, let's talk about outcomes. So in this session, we saw mainly the major thing is we saw about advanced resource optimization, like how we do or how we use the solution to see the this optimization engine. So CPU capacity, memory or storage capacity is very easy to find through our optimization engine and then take the actions. And the network usage, you can use our network part to optimize the maybe the networking. It wasn't in the coverage in this webinar, but we also have a NetFlow engine. It's also coming up in the new release that you can basically attach into virtual machine network adapters, and then we can get all the NetFlow, or actually let's say SFlow results from the network device, and then you can find out all the details about your traffic. So if your VM has lots of traffic, then you will be able to find out why that traffic happens, what kind of characteristic or what kind of application is using that one. So I think it will be a very, very niche solution for that. Soon you will be able to reach them in your virtual machine section. Just click on virtual machine and find out the flow characteristics very easily in the real time. And another one today, we don't have it, but soon we are working on it. Soon you will be able to have this. You will be able to enhance your Azure Monitor and Azure Sentinel by adding our essential data. Like, for example, you can filter or parse the data that we have today and push it to Azure Monitor and through there to Sentinel maybe. And you can enhance your Azure Sentinel efficiency by adding more telemetry like logs, inventory, metrics. And you can also push the new version's NetFlow data to Sentinel, and you can use that for the better network visibility, and you can set your rules and alerts on the Azure portal itself. And of course, you can add detailed inventory data to the Azure Sentinel to use it in the security maybe rules. So this solution is not only giving you the visibility that you need, but it's also enhancing your Azure part by adding many additional data for now, and then you can use them in your current setup on Azure. So yeah, thanks for watching me, and let's go with the Q&A session.
Yeah, thanks, Yusuf. Great stuff. And
Thanks.
maybe you can go back one slide. I just wanted to highlight this one thing from the key takeaways.
Yeah.
So I was talking about, a few customers that were joining us late last year, and the system engineers are really looking for a business case, to justify an investment for a tool like Virtual Metric. And I think if you look at that advanced resource optimization, being able to cut down on resources, memory, storage, network, this is really what fuels the business and what makes sense in terms of, starting with a solution like this. So I just wanted to highlight this because this was very important in a number of cases that I witnessed, and that I think is something to take out of this webinar. And Virtual Metric is capable of delivering on those optimizations.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
Now, I think your story was great. Very clear challenges on what we can solve from Virtual Metric perspective. You actually took us on a journey of how a system engineer could really benefit from using us with an Azure Stack HCI environment. So I think it's short and snappy. You even completed within the time frame. So thank you for that. Now
You're
let's
welcome.
open up for Q&A. Please feel free to drop your question in the chat or in the Q&A section. I've already collected a few questions, so maybe we'll start with the first one here from Charbel. Yusuf, can we set specific alerts to get notifications via email or SMS?
Yeah. First of all, hi Charbel. Nice to see you. So yes, whatever you collect in the Virtual Metric environment through the Azure Stack HCI or any actually infrastructure monitoring, it can be logs, inventory, or metrics. You can create the rules, and after these rules, you can set multiple endpoints like SMS, Microsoft Teams messaging, or maybe you can send it to PagerDuty, or you can send it to some other incident managements. We have many integrations. Maybe can I show it, Michiel, if you have time?
Yeah,
Very
sure. We have
quickly.
plenty of time. Yeah.
So after you create the rules, we have actions, embedded actions. You just need to come here and choose what you want to add, like SMS or REST API. You can integrate it with your System Center Orchestrator Manager or any other orchestrator engine. You can choose Telegram, or you can go and choose Microsoft Teams. And it's very easy to add. We have the documentation for these actions. You just put the webhook URL for your Teams channel. And then as soon as the issue is there, we send you the notification. And you can also use active hours functionality. You can say that you just need to get this notification via Teams between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can also limit the scope, and then you can use multiple actions to the same rule. Like, okay, I just want to get this as SMS in the night, and during the day, I'm going to get it via Teams message. And at the same time, I'm going to send every copy to ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a very popular integration from us because many customers are using ServiceNow very happily. So yeah, it works great. You can see the incidents on the ServiceNow very easily. So yeah, I hope that's enough for the action part.
I think that explains that we are able to send these notifications to any solution and to get notified. So great stuff. Another one from Charbel is, can we export the logs to a SIEM solution like Microsoft Sentinel Log Analytics Workspace, and similar solutions like that?
So yeah, we are working on it. We will use the direct APIs of the Azure, and we are following up the changes like deprecated ones and the new versions. Our aim is to send this data, push this data to Azure Sentinel as efficient as possible. So we will utilize the new APIs. So yeah, we will support this in very shortly, I guess, in maybe a couple of weeks. we will have that. But the ability that you can do here is that you don't need to send every data. Because we know about the ingest rates costs or some other costs maybe. So maybe you just want to filter out only important things and then send the rest to the Azure part, then yeah, you can do that.
All right, thank you for that. Question here from Jonathan. So SCVMM 2022 will be deprecated in future release instead of Azure Stack HCI, probably no longer support in version 23H2. Do you plan to include Windows Admin Center instead of SCVMM?
So we don't need Windows Admin Center to collect the data actually, or we don't need SCVMM. We are using the Windows APIs to get the virtual machines and then all the stack information. But yeah, if we see that some of the information is only possible via Windows Admin Center, yes, we can support that because we are following these changes very closely, and we are checking how the industry reacts or community how they react. So if you see something that only possible via Windows Admin Center, yes, definitely you can see these updates via us. But our idea is, even though your admin center is not there or is not functioning for some reason, your monitoring shouldn't stop. So we shouldn't depend on the third parties. They should be very native, and native means fast. If we can eliminate all the middle layers, if we do and go get the data very quickly, then it will be a very fast monitoring experience. For your information today, we can grab the data every 20 seconds, the interval, but the next release will have 5 seconds and then also 1 second interval. So we will do this very, very live.
Okay, all clear. And from my side, all the things that you hear today, I mean, feel free to request a free trial with Virtual Metric. We offer 30-day free trials. I'm happy to support in any case, and we can set a number of requirements like the questions that you've been asking here, and see how it works out, and see how the solution works. All right. So another question here for you, Yusuf. If you are growing your Microsoft Azure Stack HCI environment, so it's really pumping up, how does Virtual Metric accommodate this growth? Are there any limitations in using Virtual Metric for this growing environment?
So Virtual Metric scales very easily. We have an API machine system. So if we see that the limitation of that API machine is not enough to cover more devices, then you just add one more. So you're just increasing number of the API. So we always cover the demand. So you don't need to, you shouldn't afraid about growing. If you're growing, our solution can grow even at the database level. We support active or like the multi-nodes installations. So yeah, if you need to send more data, if you need to push more data, we are there to help you, and we will help you how to architecture that. And we support proxies for the multiple locations. So even though some data is unreachable via the main environment, we can still get that data for you.
Okay, so well equipped to scaling environments. Yeah, that's good to hear. Here's another question. So what other Microsoft products does Virtual Metric integrate with?
So with us, not only the Azure Stack is there, of course, you can use the IaaS or SQL Server. You can go really deep with these ones, by the way, like SQL databases, the tables, indexes, expensive queries. And we also support many inventory stuff for the Windows. As soon as you add your Windows machine, we get all the important data for you, like TCP and some others. And we also have some integration with the Active Directory, so we can monitor many things from the Active Directory. And we are adding many features more, but we also want to add more modules in the future based on the demand from the community.
Thank you. All clear. Then question here. So what are the automation capabilities in Virtual Metric? Like, for instance, for maintenance, for routine tasks, for alarms, triggers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Virtumetric can integrate with many products out of box, and I think one of the things you can do, I mean, there's, for example, PagerDuty one. Through the PagerDuty, you can do the automation part, but if you want to do with your own orchestration engine, you can use the REST API one, and through the REST API, you can do many tasks. But we also had another webinar, I think last year or maybe previous year. In that one, we were doing some automation tasks directly by using this REST API. Maybe you can find that on our YouTube channel. So basically, if the disk is full, you were able to clear the temp folder or do some other actions. So yeah, it is possible to trigger them with the REST API.
Right, and then I have one final question here left. If there's any questions, please leave them in the chat. But so here's the last one on what I see. What is the next on the roadmap for Virtualmetric regarding Azure Stack HCI?
So as I mentioned during the webinar, one of the next thing will be this zombie VHDX detection to save some storage space for you. And also we are working on the NetFlow engine right now to get all the flow details from your VMs. So you can see the traffic analysis for your virtual machines automatically out of box, which will be very cool feature actually. So this will be the top two, but we are also getting more feedbacks from the users. So we will shape the roadmap accordingly. And also, yeah, we are following the changes by Microsoft on the Azure Stack part. So if there's new features, you can see them in the feature. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we're actively collecting feedback from the community, and also, based on the demand, we can also prioritize there and add features to the solution. Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. I think it's time we can wrap up. We've covered all the content. We've covered all the questions. Thank you so much. Again, like I said before, if you feel you want to test this software and see for yourself, please reach out to myself or reach out to sales@virtualmetric.com, and we're happy to accommodate you with your own test environment. If there are people in your network interested in testing the solution, please share this link or the recording that we will send afterwards. And stay tuned for more Virtualmetric webinars. There's more coming your way. Please subscribe to our LinkedIn channel to get any updates. And we will be publishing more and more about the developments we made and the customers that are joining our community. Thank you, Yusuf, for your speech. Great content, and see you next time for our next webinar on Virtualmetric.
Thanks.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for everybody.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye. Bye bye.